Japanese court rejects an appeal by Australian who said she was tricked into smuggling drugs. A Japanese court on Thursday dismissed an appeal by an Australian woman who said she was tricked into smuggling drugs by a man she hoped to marry, allowing a 6-year prison sentence issued by a lower court to stand. Oh no, chat. Oh no, chat. This sounds like a Nigerian prince scam. But what would a Nigerian prince scam have to do with Japan, though? I was like, what? Why? I'm so confused. The Tokyo High Court said Donna Nelson, 59, from Perth, Australia, was guilty of violating the Stimulants Control and Custom laws. The Chiba District Court in December sentenced her to 6 years in prison and a fine of 1 million yen, which is $6,725. Bro, what is this conversion rate? That's crazy. Nelson was arrested at Japan's Narita International Airport near Tokyo on January 3rd, 2023, after customs officials found 2 kilograms, 4.4 pounds of amphetamines, a stimulant, hidden under a false bottom in a suitcase she was carrying as checked luggage. Brother, what the fuck? Nelson has told the court she was unaware of the drugs hidden in the suitcase, that she was carrying it for a man she hoped to marry. If some guy I didn't know gave me a suitcase and was like, you need to bring this to Japan for me, there's 0 chance I would accept that. If a man that I knew handed me a suitcase and said I needed to bring it to Japan for him, I would say not unless I go through the entire bag, man. The man called Kelly, whom she met online in 2020. Oh no. Told her he was the Nigerian owner of a fashion business. Holy fuck. How? What the fuck, dude? Called it. It's just normal pattern recognition at this point, man. In 2023, he paid her to travel to Japan via Laos and asked her to collect dress samples from an acquaintance in the Southeast Asian country. She was supposed to meet him in Japan, but he never showed up. Bro didn't even want the drugs. He just gets off when getting other people arrested. This reminds me of the gold mine guy on Financial Audit, where he's like, yeah, my best friend went there and showed me the gold from the mine, and we tried to get it out of Turkey, but it's caught up in customs, man. We just don't know about the gold right now. On Thursday, presiding judge Takashi Irie dismissed Nelson's defense lawyer's request for her acquittal, an argument that she was a romance scam victim with no awareness or intent of drug trafficking for profit. Based Japan, they're just like, I don't care if you were dumb enough to fall for a scam, you brought tons of drugs into our country and you will pay the consequences. Based Japan. Rip Bozo. Enjoy prison, stalker child. The judge said Nelson was fully capable and had time to think and realize that something was wrong with the man's request. Japan being like, yeah, we just don't believe that you're actually room temp IQ. You're like, anyone would have known this was a scam. Get the fuck back in the jail cell, idiot. Nelson, wearing a dark blue suit and seated in front of the judge, listened to the sentencing quietly, at times shaking her head. The judge said she had 14 days to decide whether to appeal to the top court. One of Nelson's daughters, Crystal Hilare, said her mother has not made a decision. Listening to the sentencing was hard, Hilare said after the verdict. I felt it was wrong. At times I didn't really want to hear it. I had been so hopeful that this was going to be the end. It's very tiring to keep fighting the fight. I just thought we would all be able to rest and be going home with her. I love how when people get caught doing crimes in foreign countries and they're used to the leniency afforded to them by like Australia, European countries, the UK, the US, Canada, and when they actually come up against a country that's just like, yeah, we don't play that shit. And they're just like, this is unfair. Japan clearly has a higher opinion of the average human's intelligence. Those poor misguided souls. No, let them have it if they're putting more people in jail. I agree. Way to go, Japan. You're the best. Petition by man against ICE custody may provide new path to release for others. Rodney Taylor, who is a double amputee, filed a habeas corpus after being held in a Georgia center for 8 months. Rodney Taylor, a Liberia-born man who is a double amputee and is missing 3 fingers on one hand, has filed a habeas corpus petition in a federal court seeking release from Georgia's Stewart Detention Center after being held there by ICE for 8 months. This guy was born in Liberia, which is the country that the freed slaves set up for themselves over in Africa because they wanted to return instead of staying in the United States. And this man, being born in that Liberia, has now come illegally to the United States. What the fuck? What is at stake in this case is one of the most profound individual interests recognized by our legal system, whether ICE may unilaterally take away, without a lawful basis, his physical freedom, i.e. his constitutionally protected interest in avoiding physical restraint. The petition says, bro, this is some sovereign citizen shit. This is some, you can't detain me because I'm here illegally. I have a vested interest in avoiding physical restraint. What the fuck, brother? Drop him off in Liberia? Yeah, why is he in a detention center for 8 months? Just send him back to Liberia, man. The action is a canary in the coal mine for what's about to happen nationwide, said Sarah Ownings, Taylor's immigration attorney. Thousands of habeas claims are going to be filed across the country, she said, after a Board of Immigration Appeals decision on September 5th dramatically curtailed the immigration system's ability to release detainees while awaiting decisions on their status. Because if you release someone here illegally, they're just not going to show up. What do you mean? Like, they've already shown that they cannot be trusted to not break the law. Why would you trust them to come back on their own recognizance? This is making immigration attorneys turn to federal district courts, observers told The Guardian. Taylor's continued detention, despite his extensive medical needs, is yet another stark example of the cruelty of this administration, said Helen Parsonage, the attorney who filed the petition. You know, I agree, he shouldn't have been in ICE detainment for 8 months. He should have been in detainment for maybe 1 at max and then sent the fuck back to Liberia. Brought to the US by his mother on a medical visa when he was a child. Oh boy, here we go. Taylor had 16 operations for his medical conditions. How did she afford those 16 operations for his medical conditions? How did she afford that? Can we probably assume that she couldn't on her own? Now 46, he has lived in the US nearly his entire life and works as a barber. He got engaged only 10 days before ICE detained him in January due to a burglary conviction from when he was a teenager, and for which the state of Georgia pardoned him in 2010, according to Owens, who shared some of Taylor's paperwork with The Guardian. If he was brought here as a child and he's now 46, he had plenty of fucking time to get citizenship if he wanted to. I have zero sympathy for someone brought here as a child, now 46, who did not get citizenship that entire fucking time. Additionally, a burglary conviction when he was a teenager. Why did he get pardoned for that? How the fuck did he get pardoned from a burglary conviction? Send 10 sad stories that will make you say fuck having borders and laws and shit. I'm so sick of it, dude. Taylor had a pending application for U.S. residence, commonly known as a green card, but has not been released on bond while the federal government determines his immigration status. He says he has been subjected to multiple mishaps in detention, including the screws coming out of his prosthetic legs, causing him to fall and injure his hand, and during different periods, not being able to charge the batteries in his prosthetic legs or get them calibrated, leading to other injuries. I don't know how much money a barber makes, but I do know that prosthetics are very, very, very expensive. How did a man here illegally, working as a barber with a criminal history, afford prosthetics that have battery charged capabilities? Can someone explain that to me? Concurrently, the Trump administration has dismantled the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties based and the Immigration Detention Ombudsman, OIDO, 2 federal offices that provided oversight for healthcare and other issues. Habeas corpus, a legal tool meant to challenge the legal basis for detention, predates the United States and goes back to the English legal system, said Cesar Garcia Hernandez, a law professor at Ohio State University. Literally making sovereign citizen fucking arguments. Holy shit. It's the Temu prosthetics? Oh no, man. Temu prosthetics. It fundamentally means that a detained person has the right for a judge to rule on whether their detention is unlawful. These people are insane, man. They care so much for these poor little criminals. Taylor's petition is important because it comes after the September decision, which virtually eliminated bond for people no matter how long they've lived here and whether they have jobs and contribute to our nation. If they're here illegally, they are not contributing to our nation. They're a foreign invader leeching off of our nation, according to the American Immigration Lawyers Association. The meaning of this case at this point in time is because it is a direct challenge to this administration's recent attempt to expand detention authority. Immigration attorneys nationwide are pursuing the same strategy, but it requires a few steps. Most immigration lawyers have never seen the inside of a federal court, says Charles Cook, that would be his last name, an Atlanta immigration attorney of more than 3 decades. That's because immigration courts are a separate system from federal district courts. This is leading to training sessions for immigration attorneys on filing habeas claims being staged nationwide, so that they can try to get tens of thousands of detainees released from detention while their cases are resolved. We need to find out who's leading these training sessions, who's participating in them, who's funding them, and we need to figure out the criminality behind it, because immigration attorneys trying to figure out the exact ways to go around the letter of the law, even if it means using laws that are hundreds of years old to fight back, to keep criminals in the country, that is fucked up. And once again, the Constitution should not apply to people who are not citizens, specifically and precisely for this fucking reason. Since district courts are separate from immigration courts, immigration attorneys are also having to follow a process of admission into district courts, which then authorizes them to file habeas petitions. In Georgia and some other states, this can include traveling to the district court with jurisdiction over the area where the detention center is located and attending a ceremony. We have to adapt, Owning said. We're figuring out how to respond. Several observers familiar with Taylor's case said that he never would have been detained without bond for 8 months during previous administrations. Yes, because previous administrations were not working for the American people. They were working to bring as many foreigners here as humanly possible. They do not care about American citizens. And apparently these people don't either, given his medical condition. This case is an example of what happens when ICE is judge, jury, and executioner. Stop making ICE sound more based than they really are, all right? Owing said, now if you're coming in the door, there's no going out, she said. Good! The only way you should be leaving is back to where you came from. Get out of our country. In the months to come, she added, there will be more Rodneys. There will be more claims from people treated the same, without medical care, without guardrails to review their situations, without the ability to be released. He should not have the ability to be released. He should not have been detained for 8 months. He should have been deported way fucking sooner. Way fucking sooner. And it's absurd that he hasn't been. Oh, hey, this has some background. His journey to the US began when he was 2 years old. His mother brought him from Liberia on a medical visa so he could receive amputation surgeries for a congenital condition affecting his hands and feet. Since then, the US has been his only home. Don't care. He should have gotten legal status if he wanted to stay. Despite spending nearly his entire life in the US, Taylor's immigration status remained in limbo. The root cause, a criminal charge he's been pardoned for in the state. Why was he pardoned? When he was 16 years old, he pleaded guilty to felony burglary, a conviction that had haunted him ever since. Why didn't he get deported immediately at that point? 16 years later, the Georgia Parole Board pardoned him. Why? But that pardon did not meet immigration and custom enforcement standards for relief. They picked me up and said I was an aggravated felon. They treated me like I was a criminal, Taylor said from the Stewart Detention Center about his ICE arrest. I mean, even without the conviction or the pardon, you still are a criminal. You are here illegally. You never made any attempts to become a citizen. Like, what the fuck? They told me automatic deportation. I can't see a judge. I can't get a hearing. Good. But also, why was he kept in holding for 8 months? That's absurd. He should have been sent back sooner. The Department of Justice said it had no record of Taylor's case and won't until he's charged 3 months after his arrest. That still hasn't changed. That's kind of weird. That's very inefficient. Immigration attorney Charles Cook explained that Taylor's case is an example of the complexities of U.S. immigration law. Somebody who has been pardoned by the state, been forgiven, moved on with his life, ICE comes along decades later and arrests him and says they're going to deport him. Our laws haven't changed in 30 years. What's changed is how they're enforced. He's still here illegally. He's still here illegally, regardless of any of this other crap. He shouldn't be here. He's not a citizen. He doesn't have any visas or papers or anything. Americans seem to agree with enforcement measures renewed under President Trump's administration. According to recent data from Pew Research, 59% of Americans support increased deportation efforts. As Ludwig would say, we need to get those numbers up. There's still this one GoFundMe that is for him and should not exist because he is here illegally. You should not be able to raise money for crimes. That's crazy. Isn't it crazy that a crackdown happens and we see hundreds of thousands of reports coming out? Yeah. Yeah, we're just going to be bombarded with all of this shit to try and make you feel bad for people that you shouldn't feel bad for. Chaos erupts during immigration hearing as Democrat lunges at chairman's gavel.
If you want to go back to the 1950s and look what the Mexican, I won't name the bill, where over 1 million people were deported from the United States. Thousands of them were U.S. citizens.
I doubt it.
Just because they looked Latino.
I doubt it.
And what do the courts come out with now? What?
You have to. This bill is about illegals. This is about entirely.
He grabbed that shit so fast. Oh my God.
Illegals.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is
if you're too
illegal.
cowardly to let me speak and speak the truth about this situation, don't have a public hearing.
Their specific bill, you can ask it, but I'm not going to sit here and allow things outside of the bill. That's my job. And I'm going to do my job.
That is BS.
This is about
also, for people who are listening and not watching, the thing at the bottom, this is a hearing about giving funds to illegals for healthcare.
Have a right to discuss the bill, talk about immigration.
It's outside of the
I'm
scope of the bill.
sorry you don't know about enough of immigration
outside
to
of
make
the
a
scope of the
decision.
bill.
So
If you
anyhow,
have any further specific questions, that's
Yes.
what we're here for.
A recent Wisconsin State Senate debate on an immigration bill erupted when the panel's top Democrat lunged at the chairman's gavel, calling Republicans cowards and questioning their faith. State Senator Chris Kapanga, R of Okonomowoke. What the fuck is going on in Wisconsin? What is that name? Chairman of the Wisconsin Senate State and Federal Affairs Committee told Fox News Digital the video of the episode broadcast by Wisconsin Eye is important because it shows how quickly discourse can spiral when lawmakers abandon decorum. Well, considering that this fucking Democrat is not living in reality and he wants to talk about going back to the 1950s somehow because we're saying, no, we're not going to use federal funds. We're not going to use taxpayer dollars. I don't know if it's federal or state, but either way, we're not going to use taxpayer dollars to give illegal immigrants any kind of health services. That's ridiculous. And this guy, not living in reality, just has to bring up random fucking nonsense to try and guilt people into it. Right, it's just the same. That's like Republicans are cowards questioning their faith. Oh, what about you, guy who doesn't believe in Christianity, wanting to use it as a cudgel to beat people who are Christians? I don't believe in your magical sky princess, but I'm going to use it against you because I know you'll do what I say if I do that. Fuck these people. Flashpoint came as a ranking member, Tim Carpenter, D. Milwaukee, opposed legislation that would bar public funds from paying for health care for illegal immigrants. Carpenter highlighted a story told moments prior by Senator Chris Larson, D. Milwaukee, about a migrant woman who was reportedly initially lawfully present, but later deported and supposedly died after not being able to refill her prescription medication after her private insurance lapsed. If she's in such a dire situation that she requires medical attention in the US and can't get it anywhere else, why would she let her immigration lapse? That should be on the forefront of your mind. Like, if I get deported, I will literally die. So I should do everything in my power to make sure I can stay here legally. Otherwise, why would I feel bad? Larson later apologized after misstating the facts of the case after it was reported the woman was still alive. All they do is fucking lie. All they do is fucking lie to try and get you to do what they want. That's all they fucking do. I'm so sick of it, man. Which earned public praise from Kapanga. It shouldn't. But Carpenter at the time seconded the story as told by Larson and continued his arguments. Kapanga, former Senate president, said the panel cannot be expected to comment on the woman's situation and that the bill sponsors were there to talk strictly about the legislation. Kapanga further objected to Larson explicitly bringing President Donald Trump's changes to the federal immigration system into the conversation when he was not being discussed in the context of the bill. Gentlemen, that's outside the scope of the bill, Kapanga said. Bill sponsor Senator Van Wangard R. Racine tried to return to an earlier discussion of the bill's contents, adding anybody who is here that is not a citizen, here is a temporary resident, they're here on a visa or whatever, they always have their ability to be here be revoked. It could be by the president or by Homeland Security for certain. There's all different reasons why that ability for them, that privilege for them to be here, could be terminated. And he's completely correct. It is not a human right to have access to the United States and American taxpayer dollars. Carpenter replied that Wisconsin is dealing with federal issues and how Trump is conducting official business, and argued its relevance to the debate. We were told by the president that only the violent criminals were going to be deported. That's not all that's happening. So when you're bringing this up and saying, hey, look, you can't have any medical care for people that are being detained, that's wrong. It's unchristian. There it is. It's immoral, said Carpenter, while Kapanga tapped the gavel as Carpenter continued to speak. I hate these people. It's like literal demons trying to just force you into doing whatever the fuck they want you to do, knowing that there are certain things that will cause you to balk because you don't want to be hypocritical and you don't want to live against your principles. But they don't give a shit about your principles. Your principles are merely a tool for them to use against you at this point.
Demons are beasts who seek to devour. Have you ever wondered why those monsters chose to speak the same language as humans?
Don't interrupt me, he told Kapanga after another gavel tap. Kapanga replied that lawmakers cannot impugn the character of other lawmakers, referencing his comment about being unchristian. As crosstalk escalated, Carpenter grew more animated, weaving in complaints about federal policy and historical deportations of Mexican illegal immigrants. Kapanga again banged the gavel, leading Carpenter to lunge at it. Carpenter then told Kapanga he was too cowardly to let me speak the truth about this situation. Oh god, I hate these people, man. Like, it's exhausting. It's like, I'm not even part of that conversation, and it's exhausting to hear the lies coming out of this guy's mouth and how fervently he lies and tries to force people into acquiescing to what he wants via shaming and via trying to appeal to empathy and principles that he doesn't hold. If you have a specific question about the specific bill, Kapanga replied as Carpenter claimed bullshit, and chaotic crosstalk ensued again. Bill co-sponsor Rep. Alex Dahlman, Republican in Green Lake, then interrupted to say similar bills had been passed by red states and blue states. Carpenter cut in that it was amazing how you Republicans are so afraid of this information, and added he looked forward to winning the full floor debate before taking a dig at Kapanga's prior Senate presidency. Gentlemen, we're done, Kapanga calmly responded, gaveling the session out. Fox News Digital reached out to Carpenter for comment. Kapanga told Fox News Digital the behavior of certain colleagues should be a timely reminder. I'm not sharing the video because this isn't about embarrassing individuals. This is about choosing decorum and the use of measured words to persuade those of opposing opinion. Sharing stories with false information to incite fear, name-calling, aggression, he said. Exactly. And it's good, right? Like, they said that Kapanga praised him for, like, correcting himself when he realized, oh, the woman was still alive. I wouldn't praise someone for saying that, but I'd be like, yeah, I'm glad they issued the correction. We all know the dangerous place that's leading society. The upswell in the movement Charlie Kirk started shows Americans are passionate about the freedom to debate ideas, not rhetoric and violence. Charlie Kirk was killed for wanting to debate ideas. I don't know what this guy means by that. High school football player left with broken spine as opponent jumps on him in unsportsmanlike move. The boy's mother revealed that she's unsure if her son will ever be able to walk or play football again. So I feel like if somebody intentionally jumps on someone to the point where it breaks their spine, and apparently it broke multiple times according to a post I saw on Twitter, I don't think unsportsmanlike is the word to use. I think maybe attempted murder might be more applicable here. And I completely foresee zero repercussions for the person who did this. A teen football player has been left with a broken spine after an opponent jumped on him during a high school game in Michigan. Footage from last week's game between Kalamazoo Central High School and Lakeshore High School showed a group of Kalamazoo players knocking one of their rivals to the ground before one jumped on top of him. The teen was left with broken vertebrae in his lower spine after the horrific incident, according to his family. His mother, Courtney Mims, also said that her son may never walk again. And at first I was like, is that my son? And as soon as it clicked that it was, I couldn't be stopped. I had to go down there. I've never felt anything like it. I've never been as upset or shaken up as I was over something for my son, she said. This woman was just turned into a racist. Greg Edig, superintendent of Lakeshore Public Schools, branded the Kalamazoo players' behavior as having no place in student athletics. The incident was an intentional, unprovoked, and flagrant violation of the rules and appropriate sports conduct and resulted in an injury to one of our Lakeshore student athletes. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Kalamazoo Public Schools said that the incident does not represent their values. I'm tired of hearing this. I'm tired of hearing boilerplate fucking corpo slop sentences. This type of behavior is unacceptable and does not reflect the values of sportsmanship, respect, and integrity that the Kalamazoo Public Schools expects from student athletes, coaches, and the entire school community. The district said in a statement. The Kalamazoo superintendent has handed out disciplinary consequences to the athlete. However, neither school district has confirmed what these consequences will involve. I'm sure it was just like, oh, you can't play the rest of the season. Eating says that the two teams will observe a moment of silence for the injured player before their next game. Meanwhile, Mims hopes that her son's injury will raise awareness about the need for varsity players to be safe during games. These boys are high school boys. They're 15 years old. The game means a lot to them. It's their whole life right now. They're there from before I get up to go to work in the morning till after dinner, putting in the work, and for somebody to try to take that from somebody doing so much is awful for me to see. And I agree with Otto here. Let's stop excusing violence and shifting blame elsewhere. In high school, you're old enough to know not to intentionally hurt another player. No coach would ever teach that. What that guy did is criminal, and charges should be filed. 1,000%. It's crazy if anything other than that happens. Let's see if they have like the video here.
This video shows the moment during a game between Lakeshore and Kalamazoo Central, and you see there. Oh.
Like, why the fuck? Why would he do that, man? You're expecting some stomp or something? Yeah, he like pushes the guy down and then purposefully flops again. You hate the soft language. The action resulted in an injury? No, it resulted in the crippling of an athlete, yeah? Mystery deepens into Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death as authorities release her body and probe David ties. Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the teenage girl who was found dead in the trunk of a Tesla in a Hollywood tow yard, is finally going home after the medical examiner's office released her body back to her family Wednesday. How her body wound up in the trunk of a multi-platinum musician's vehicle while he is in the middle of a world tour remains a mystery, and has thrown into question the remaining tour dates and fueled rumors about his potential relationship with the girl who was reported missing last year. That's a long-ass time. That's a long-ass fucking time. And when they say teenage, do they mean like minor, or was she like 18, 19? What we know, Celeste's body was found September 8th, a day after her 15th birthday. Bro. That is fucked. But the cause of death has not been released by the LA County Medical Examiner's Office. Celeste's severely decomposed remains were found after complaints of a foul odor coming from an impounded vehicle at the tow yard. The vehicle is registered to 20-year-old singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. The Tesla was parked in the Hollywood Hills near a rental home where Burke was staying. He has been on a national tour since the start of the summer and was set to leave the country for the European leg of his tour. But several dates have been canceled following the discovery of Celeste's remains. The case is being investigated by robbery homicide detectives with the Los Angeles Police Department. I don't know why they say how her body wound up in the trunk of a multi-platinum musician's vehicle while he's in the middle of a world tour remains a mystery, when she's been missing since last year and his tour only started at the start of this summer, and her body was found severely decomposed. That actually makes a perfect sensical timeline. What do you mean? The case is being investigated by robbery homicide detectives with the Los Angeles Police Department. Since the discovery, photos and videos of Burke and Celeste have circulated online, as fans of his and online sleuths have speculated about her connection to the singer. Burke maintained a constant presence online, on streaming and other social media apps, as his fame grew, prompting fans to dig through numerous posts and videos looking for any connection between the singer and Celeste, including messages and times she appeared alongside Burke in videos. I have a just a fucking, if you have like a massive online presence and you've been in a lot of videos with someone who turned up missing and then murdered in your vehicle, severely decomposed out, that's, I don't, you know, it's, That's not looking good for Mr. David here. Celeste grew up in Lake Elsinore, about 76 miles from Hollywood, where the Tesla was parked before it was towed. She was in the 7th grade, and her family reported her missing at least 3 times in 2024, according to the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. What we don't know, despite much online speculation, there are still few official connections between the singer and the girl. Sources say detectives are trying to sort it all out. Neither Celeste's family nor Burke's representative have commented. Didn't they literally just say she was in videos with him? Including messages and time she appeared alongside Burke in video. What? Officials have not determined a cause of death and have not declared this a homicide investigation. Do they think she just locked herself in a Tesla? Like broke all of the ability to get out and then just like heat stroked to death? Like, I don't, what? This is probably like the worst breakdown of any case I've ever read. They have homicide police investigating. How's that not a homicide investigation? I don't know, man. I do not fucking know. An autopsy will likely determine a cause, but it's unclear when that work will be complete. An autopsy will likely determine the cause, but it's unclear when that work... This article is so fucking bad. This is so fucking bad, dude. Celeste was reported missing last year from her Lake Elsinore home, but it's unclear what her movements were like in the weeks and months before her death. Residents in Lake Elsinore said that they had seen her in the area after she was reported missing last year. Others said they believed she had run away before. Police have said Burke is cooperating with investigators, but it's unclear what he has told them. Detectives served a search warrant at the rental property north of Sunset Boulevard. Law enforcement sources with knowledge of the case, but not authorized to speak publicly, said investigators recovered various items from the home, including electronics and computers. What police seized from home allegedly tied to David case amid Celeste Rivas Hernandez death investigation. E-News has reached out to LAPD but has not heard back. Authorities are still piecing together the connection between Rivas Hernandez and David, with the Times stating that the case is being investigated by robbery homicide detectives with the Los Angeles Police Department. At this time, the LAPD hasn't named a person of interest or a suspect in the case. A spokesperson for David told NBC News on September 17th that the 20-year-old is fully cooperating with the authorities. The romantic homicides... Come the fuck on, bro. You couldn't have picked any other song name? The romantic homicide singer also canceled the remainder of his tour dates, with no concerts currently showing on his website. Rivas Hernandez's body was first discovered at the Hollywood impound lot when police were called due to a foul odor coming from inside the vehicle. The body was identified as the teen who had been reported missing on April 5th, 2024 from Lake Elsinore, California, a city approximately 70 miles away from Los Angeles. She was 13 years old at the time of her disappearance. Her cause of death was deferred according to records from the medical examiner's office viewed by E! News on September 17th, with the date of her death listed as September 8th, the day her body was discovered. However, officials noted her body appeared to have been in the car for an extended period of time before it was found and was severely decomposed. Born in Queens, New York, David has moved to Houston, Texas when he was 13 years old. David first began his career as a streamer, playing Fortnite and other games in an attempt to go viral on YouTube. When he ran into copyright infringement challenges with the music he was adding to his videos in 2021, he turned to his mom. "I'm like crying to mom about it," he told Benny Blanco during an interview for Hero magazine in September 2024. "I'm like, yo, I don't know what to do. I'm not making any money anymore, blah, blah, blah." And she was on a phone and she was just like, "Just make your own music. Go get out of my face." What a supportive parent. And I was like, wait a minute, I could probably do that. From there, despite not having any musical experience other than singing for fun, David downloaded an app on his phone and started making music. Soon, some of his songs went viral, and after more of his original music started to go viral on TikTok, his career began to really take off. The 22-year-old eventually released his debut album, Withered, in April 2025, embarking on his first world tour shortly thereafter. Never trust someone who plays Fortnite, chat. On September 8th, the Los Angeles Police Department was called to a tow yard in Hollywood over reports of a foul odor coming from a vehicle, law enforcement sources told NBC News. The LAPD found human remains wrapped in a bag, hidden in the front trunk of a They found human remains wrapped in a bag, and that other article had the fucking gall. They had the audacity to say this isn't a homicide. Are you fucking kidding me? Which was registered in Hampstead, Texas under David's real name. Police said the vehicle had been towed to the impound lot after it was abandoned in the Hollywood Hills. This is really weird. His last collab also with Fortnite, by the way. But I'm the brand risk. Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office, September 16th, said the remains found in the Tesla were identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who had been reported missing on April 5th, 2024. She was 13 years old at the time of her disappearance. Obviously, she put herself in the bag. That's it. Case closed. Crazy that a girl can disappear for like a year and end up in the trunk of a car decomposing, and a journal can write a slop article saying there's no homicide investigation. You will never hate journalists enough. Her cause of death has been deferred according to records from the medical examiner's office viewed by E! News on September 17th, though the date of her death was listed as September 8th, the day her body was discovered. What has David said about the investigation? Following the discovery of Rivas Hernandez's body, a spokesperson for David said in a statement to NBC News that the singer has been informed about what's happened, and although he is still out on tour, he is fully cooperating with the authorities. Since then, David has canceled the remainder of his US dates. And I think after learning about all this shit for the first time, this article title that I'm bringing up next is really confounding. David continues to get good news amid Celeste Rivas' investigation?
Good news, everyone.
Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that.
What did they mean by this? Earlier this month, 20-year-old singer David was thrust into the center of a grim investigation after authorities found the dismembered and decaying body of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas in the trunk of one of his cars. Well, this is not exactly a good way to make headlines, and it has already cost him some sponsorships and support from his record label. David has gotten some good news this week, as his music is now more popular than it has been in years. Journalists are fucking demons, man. Journalists are you know what? This guy might be implicated in a case where a decomposing body of a minor was found in an abandoned car registered in his name. But hey, his music is more popular than ever, and that's some good news. What we know so far, a decomposing body was found inside a Tesla belonging to musician David at an impound lot in Hollywood on September 8th. Car was brought to the impound lot after someone reported it abandoned in Hollywood Hills, and police were called after workers reported a strong odor. Tesla was never reported as stolen. The body was discovered inside a bag in the Tesla's front trunk. The remains were not intact and had badly decomposed. The remains were so decomposed that it took authorities more than a week to identify the body. The remains were eventually identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. David has a matching tattoo with Rivas, and her mother said she had been missing for over a year and that her daughter's boyfriend's name was David. Why would you get a matching tattoo with a minor? What the fuck? Oh my god. What? It's pointing towards maybe this guy is both a pedophile and a murderer, allegedly, possibly not confirmed. David initially decided to continue his world tour while cooperating with the investigation, but he canceled the remainder of his tour on Wednesday. An unreleased love song written by David references someone by the name of Celeste in the unfinished title and twice in the lyrics. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind, chat. Earlier this week, reports surfaced indicating that David's streaming numbers were surging amid the death investigation. That has continued to be the case, and now we have some pretty staggering statistics to show just how much his popularity has surged in recent weeks. I feel disgusting even reading this. Who fucking wrote this? What is the name of the creature? Fucking Kevin Harish. I hope you get disowned by everyone who ever cared about you. This is absurd. What the fuck? According to a report from Billboard, David's streams have more than doubled amid the investigation. Following the reports, David's overall streams have experienced significant gains, including the viral hit that helped deliver him to the mainstream. From September 18th to 22nd, David's cataloged 30.3 million official on-demand US streams, more than double the total from the previous 5-day tracking period. According to preliminary data provided by Illuminate, Jason Lipschutz reported for Billboard. Within that total, Romantic Homicide, which reached number 33 on the Hot 100 after going viral in 2022, was among the greatest gainers. From September 12th to 15th, the track earned 2.9 million streams. And 1 week later, that total was 9.4 million, up 224%. Romantic Homicide and other David tracks have popped up on the Spotify Daily Top 50 chart as this tragic story has developed. Despite the apparent evidence linking him to the victim, a raid at the home where he was living, and plenty of social media speculation, David has not been arrested or named as a suspect in her death. In fact, the LAPD has not even officially deemed the 15-year-old girl's death a homicide. That's because women just do that. Just crawl into bags and dismember themselves and lock themselves in Teslas. That's completely normal behavior, you know? Law enforcement officials have told ABC News that the investigation has not technically been considered a homicide investigation because authorities have not yet determined a cause of death. Despite this, the investigation is being conducted by LAPD's Homicide Division, and TMZ has reported multiple times that the death is being investigated as a possible homicide. Since the body was originally discovered in his car, a spokesperson for the artist has maintained that he is fully cooperating with the investigation. Lyrics from Romantic Homicide, by the way, in the back of my mind, I killed you and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you. Waiting for his second hit to pop off. I'm a pedo murderer who dismembered a teen girl. It's just a normal song title. What do you mean? Nothing to see here. And then the fourth article I pulled up. Why hasn't David been arrested? A very hard 180 shift from the tone of that last article. Experts explain after body of Celeste Rivas, 15, was found in his Tesla. Authorities are under mounting pressure to explain why singer David has not been arrested after a dismembered body was discovered earlier this month inside a Tesla registered in his name. The more I reread this, the more I feel like I'm in a fucking simulation. Like, are you kidding me? Police also raided a home connected to him. Despite those apparent ties, David has not been named a suspect. Amid the public's confusion, legal experts explained to the Daily Mail that the situation is not unusual, and it largely comes down to the autopsy. This is often standard operating procedure. The medical examiner needs to confirm that this was a homicide before any official charges are filed, said Kevin Angelo Brown, a criminologist and professor at Arkansas State University. For example, if the findings conclude that it was not a homicide, but a natural death or a suicide, a different route would be needed to charge someone with a crime. If there's an update to this and they rule it a suicide, I would believe that this is a suicide as much as I believe Epstein killed himself. Or as much as I believe any of the whistleblowers that woke up dead with 2 shotgun shells to the back of their head did that themselves. I'm so sick of these people. I'm so sick of journalists, man. I'm so sick of experts. Brown noted that while transporting a body in such a manner could open the door to charges like obstruction of justice or improper disposal of human remains, prosecutors cannot pursue murder charges without forensic confirmation. So what are they going to say, that like he was in his house with his 15-year-old girlfriend which he had matching tattoos and a romantic song with? She just happened to kill herself? She just magically like overdosed on some weed or some shit, and then instead of calling the police because she was in a medical emergency or trying to kill herself, he decided to stuff her in a bag and either dismember her on the spot or wait until she decomposed to dismember her. Like what the fuck? What is this? Yossi Yehudai, co-founder and managing partner at And Why Law, echoed that point. What the fuck kind of a name is Yossi Yehudai? And what the fuck is And Why Law? It's like some Temu law firm? What is happening? The reason David hasn't been arrested yet likely comes down to the autopsy, Yehudai explained. Until the cause and manner of death are confirmed, police can't legally call this a homicide. Without that, naming suspects or making arrests becomes risky. It's standard practice when human remains are decomposed. Law enforcement needs to wait on forensic confirmation before they can move forward. Where's the teen's family in all of this? If I, like, even if I was a shitty enough parent that my kid was running away from home constantly, I'd still be pissed that my kid turned up dismembered and decomposed in the trunk of a guy that they were dating who's an adult, a whole ass adult. Where is the anger from the family and what happened to their fucking daughter, dude? For real, you were like, where is the father? Let's be real. This person came from a single mother household. There's no way there's a father involved here. She probably wouldn't be dating this guy if there was. According to Brown, time also complicates matters. For homicides where the body is found significantly after the time of death, it can take longer to get enough evidence to make an arrest, he said. The perpetrators have had plenty of time to get rid of evidence. It often takes longer than in cases where the crime is still hot, and authorities are actively searching for a suspect who just committed the act. Police are believed to be gathering forensic evidence from the vehicle and from items seized in the raid, including potential electronics. You know, going back once again to the parents, like, they reported her missing multiple times. And people were like, yeah, we saw her around these neighborhoods, but like, why didn't you report that to the police? Investigators are likely testing for DNA, fingerprints, digital communications, and physical traces such as blood. Brown said narrowing down the date of Rivas' death will be critical to ruling suspects in or out, as it could establish an alibi or a direct link to David. At this stage, experts say most of what authorities have is circumstantial. I mean, while I agree, right, like there's no direct link that he specifically killed her, there's a lot of very suspicious circumstantial evidence that points to him possibly maybe being a suspect. But there is the chance that someone else decided to kill her and frame him for whatever reason. Can we at least arrest him for pedophilia though? Like, I feel like there's enough information for that, especially after they seized his electronics, man. Like, what the fuck? There's a Genius video of him talking about the lyrics for the song, and it's pretty disturbing to watch him explain them with hindsight. Do you have that video? Do you have that video link?
Hello, my name is David. Pronounced David, not D4vd. I'm from Queens, New York. I'm in Houston now. I am a gamer.
I was pronouncing it right. Whoever told me that I should be pronouncing it D4vd, get fucked!
I love video games. I wanted to be a professional gamer before music. That's actually what pushed me into music, was getting copyright strikes on YouTube. And I kind of just used my own music in my montages after my mom told me to. I was crying to her about it. And now we're here. So how I created Romantic Homicide is basically like every other song in my sister's closet with the Apple earbuds and the app called BandLab on
Why
my
was he in his
phone,
sister's
just going through
closet?
Instrumentals and letting them tell me what needs to be said on them, and basically just going from there. And then I write to contextualize the stories that I tell. I'm scared. It feels like you don't care. Enlighten me, my dear. Why am I still here?
That's a great question.
I don't mean to be complacent with the decisions you made, but why? So Enlighten Me, my dear is my favorite line because you can take so many different meanings out of it, and it's an emotion in itself. Everything has a meaning behind it. I think that's what poetry is. It's like an interpretation, and another person can read the same thing and take something else out of it and find new things every time. So I think that's an important part of my process, is definitely the poetry aspect of it. And all of my songs, I think, are poetry. I started writing as long as I can remember, like seeing graphic novels and Japanese manga and like taking those stories and being like, imagine if this rhymed.
Imagine if this rhymed.
In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry. No, not a single tear. And I'm sick of waiting patiently for someone that won't even arrive.
Bro, she was like 13, man. What are you doing? Okay. I mean, these are just sounds, right? You don't really need to explain those lyrics.
So what inspired the hook, in the back of my mind, you died, is kind of like the storytelling aspect of the lyrics that came before it, in a way that it builds up to the big moment where she died in the back of my mind. Like, I didn't kill her physically, but in the back of my mind, she died. And she had to die in the back of my mind first before I could understand that I needed to do it in the reality realm. And that's why it's so poetic. You know, before you kill someone for real, you have to kill them inside your brain meats so that you won't be compromised when the time comes to do the act. Even cry, not a single tear. I've seen people online take different meanings and interpretations from that one part of the song where it's like it's their past selves that's dying. And they're not even crying about it because they're evolved, they've become better people, or have killed addictions and other different stuff like that. So I think it's very powerful in that way too. In the back of my mind,
I killed you.
Why is his voice like this?
I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true.
Like nails on a chalkboard.
I wanted you to feel the emotion in this part of the song, not just to repeat the hook, but to say it in a different manner with the same feeling that the first part of it conveyed.
Sometimes when you really want to kill someone, you have to explain it multiple times. You know, you can't just repeat it the same way. You just gotta be like, I killed you and I didn't cry. But then you can't say that again. You gotta be like, I killed you and I'm glad. I don't regret it.
Was in the back of my mind, but then you think that I'm gonna say you died, but I say I killed you. So it's not like the thought of her is gone by itself.
That's true. You didn't just die. I had an active part in your death, and that's very important to get across to the audience in this song.
Was something that she did. It was something that I decided to do, and I killed her in the back of my mind. It's really more of a figurative I killed you, especially in the back of my mind. I try to stress that in the back of my mind. That's why I say it so loud. In the back of my mind, you died. In the back of my mind, I killed you. So it's all in the mind, because that's the most secure place you can be, is in your mind. So if you can expel that thought from your mind, then everything else will just come together. Puzzle pieces will just align.
I'm 14 and this is deep. Movers clear out singer David's $20K a month Hollywood Hills rental. Why would you rent for $20K a month, brother? Like, you could buy a multi-million-dollar home and pay less than $20K a month on the mortgage. Why are Zoomers so fucking dumb with their money? There's a picture of them together. David has not been named as a suspect. So it's not the star tattoo, because you can see the star tattoo on his nose here, but she doesn't have one. So we don't know what exact tattoo they have that's a matching tattoo. A car linked to him, a shared tattoo, a song mentioning Celeste at the least. It can be argued these indicate a troubling pattern, but none of that on its own proves involvement in a crime, Yehudai said. Prosecutors need hard evidence like DNA, phone records, witness testimony, surveillance footage. Otherwise, all they have is a story, and that won't hold up. Yeah, you gotta have something to fucking nail him, you know? Which, I mean, if all the circumstantial evidence is as suspicious as we think, I'm sure they will find something to nail him. Still, Brown suggested that lyrics and imagery in David's music videos could be scrutinized if the case reaches trial. He pointed to the video for One More Dance, which shows a body being dragged into a trunk, and Rehab, which depicts a girl's arm being cut off. I will say, if this guy managed to make all of these songs and these music videos in the past, essentially explaining how he plans to kill this woman, and then goes on to kill her, that's kind of an interesting strategy there, Cotton. He also noted David's unreleased track referencing a girl named Celeste. While none of the elements alone prove guilt, experts say prosecutors often examine lyrics and videos to build a narrative, particularly when paired with digital evidence or witness testimony. For now, David's cooperation appears to be working in his favor. Actress in David's music video resembles teen found in singer's Tesla. Actress featured in singer David's romantic homicide video. It does resemble her. That is kind of wild. The music video was released on September 7th, which coincides with Rivas's birthday. There's no fucking way, dude. At some point, the amount of coinky-dinks just kind of explode, man. Come the fuck on! The music video talking about killing her features an actress that looks like her and was released on her birthday. How fucking dumb can you be, man? Bro is trolling us. That's some psycho behavior, yeah. 2023 song by David about his love for a girl named Celeste was leaked online. If he cooperates, it will certainly help in terms of public perception of his innocence, but it doesn't protect him against being charged if they come up with evidence, Yehudai said. Right now, we're in the gray area of a lot of suspicion, but not a lot of admissible proof. They'll change quick once forensics comes back. Brown added that investigators may also be deliberately holding back. Another reason why they might not have named a suspect right away is they do not want to tip the suspect off before having an arrest warrant. They will also purposefully hold back accusing as a strategy to have one of the potential suspects provide information to place them at the scene or to contradict themselves to later be used against them, as this could lead to potential statements that would self-incriminate. This is like the first rational thing I've heard said in all of these articles, which yeah, all of this is true, but holy shit, how much more do they need, you know? As the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner works to confirm the cause and manner of Rivas' death, experts caution that the case could shift quickly once forensic evidence is analyzed. It would not surprise me if this case goes to trial and there is an arrest of David, Brown said, especially if lyrics, circumstantial evidence, and forensic proof begin to line up. I can't wait for his GoFundMe and for people to start defending him if he gets arrested, man. Why would he be arrested in America? If the president can have 15-year-old girlfriends, why shouldn't a rapper? Man, the TDS has literally become terminal. What the fuck? Okay, TMZ has an article, so surely they will know what the tattoo is. Okay, here we thank you, TMZ. Doing some actual work for once. Singer David has a tattoo on his finger with the letters shh. And the young girl's body found in his Tesla has the same tattoo on her finger. Now, no one is going to understand this because no one in my audience is a teen girl. I used to watch a TV show called Pretty Little Liars. It's a terrible fucking TV show. And when they revealed the killer to be transgender and decided, it's okay, you killed all our friends, you're trans, and that's so much harder than any murder could ever be, we forgive you, I stopped watching it immediately. But until that point, I watched it religiously. Like every time a new episode came out, I was up on that shit. So in the song, they say two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. And at the end of the intro song, they all go shh. I'm wondering if there might be not a connection to the show, but with the symbolism possibly. Secret boob job kills teen girl performed by mother's boyfriend. I'm glad that the craziest thing my mom tried to have her Aryan Brotherhood guy do was tattoo me. And I was like, I don't want to get tattoo, Mom. I'm scared of needles. And she's like, it's okay. We can get matching tattoos. He knows what he's doing. He gave tattoos in prison and he has a tattoo gun now. So it's not even going to be as painful. And I was like, no, I don't think I want to, Mom. No, thank you. Unfortunately, my brother was convinced to get tattoos and they look really bad and he very much regrets them. A 14-year-old reportedly died Saturday after getting a boob job done by her mother's boyfriend to the shock of her unsuspecting father. You know, I wouldn't even blame the father if he murdered the mother at this point. I'd be like, you know, it's understandable, Your Honor. Please let this man off. Paloma Nicole Arellano is the reported victim of a botched breast augmentation performed at a private clinic in Durango, Mexico. Durango's El Siglo reports. The outlet says Paloma's father, Carlos Arellano, was told by his ex-wife their daughter had been hospitalized in Durango and later died due to complications from COVID-19. Dies from botched boob job. Clearly a COVID-19 death. Should have been vaxxed. Should have gotten all of those boosters, baby. Holy shit. But he found out his daughter's dark secret at her funeral. Carlos reportedly became suspicious about his young teen's death after family members paying their respects at her casket told him her chest was larger than normal. The Arizona Republic reports. When he confronted Paloma Nicole's mother, also named Paloma, Jesus fuck, who had accompanied their daughter in Durango, she acted oblivious. But after convincing Paloma to let him say goodbye to their child in private, he discovered she did in fact have breast implants and scars, he says, prove the procedure happened recently. According to El Siglo, the Durango prosecutor's office is investigating the girl's death, and the doctor thought to be responsible for the surgery, a man named Victor Manuel, who is dating Paloma Nicole's mother. Single mothers are a plague, chat. This poor father, he probably got out because he was like, damn, this bitch crazy and I just want to take care of my daughter. Holy fuck. has been provisionally suspended by the Mexican Association of Plastic, Aesthetic, and Reconstructive Surgeons. The surgery reportedly resulted in cardiorespiratory arrest and severe brain swelling. A hospital death certificate listed the teen's cause of death as cerebral edema, resulting from a respiratory illness. The final autopsy report is pending. What a disgusting doctor and a disgusting mother. What the actual fuck? What the actual fuck? Do not give 14-year-olds boob jobs. What the fuck? And it's like, it's a good, rare, wholesome moment. Even if you're an adult, like, you can do whatever you want to your body, but I think that you shouldn't get boob jobs. Like, even if you have smaller titties, like, that's fine. There's things that you can wear that larger tittied women can't. And, like, sure, some men like larger titties, but the natural ones, even if small, they're gonna be softer. They're going to be softer and they're going to feel nicer than the silicone of the fake ones, man. The mother lied and told him that the daughter died of COVID to hide the fact that she died from botched surgery. An absolute disgusting human being. Absolutely disgusting. She knows what she did was wrong by taking this girl to get a fucking breast augmentation at 14. I didn't want the father to be upset about it. That's literal disgusting behavior. Should not be apparent.